Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Sir and everyone here. So my name is Aida and I'll be the representative for Team 13 on the Jetblue case study. Let's begin. So in this presentation, we'll be going through the first one is the strategic issues faced by JetBlue. Second, followed by strength and weakness from the SWOT, and then their external issues, opportunities, and threats, and also the recommendation. Let's start with the strategic issues first. So there are two main strategic issues that the team has identified, which is the first one, poor and unstable technology embedded in the system. And the second is the absence of a good risk enterprise risk management. So these two are actually concerning the internal part of JetBlue as the company. So we'll be explaining more in the weakness part later on. So let's see first the strengths. What are the strengths of JetBlue? The first one is that we have found that JetBlue has an effective application of the company's value proposition. So value proposition is a mechanism, is a tool to assess the company's value that they have provide to the customers, and it is also act as a tool to help a new business or a new startup to identify and analyze what are the values that the customers need. The second one is that JetBlue is able to retain a high level of customer satisfaction for a long time. So in this case study, we have noticed that the timeline starting as early as 2005 up till 2016. So it has retained a high level of customer satisfaction for a long time. Maybe that at the end of 2015 onwards, there has been a problem in the customer satisfaction. However, at the early part, they have retained a high level of customer satisfaction for a long time. One of the thing that we can support is that we have found out that JetBlue is the third fewest customer complaint at the beginning of the year. The third one is the constant innovation. In the case study, there is one statement of innovation was everywhere. And we agreed to this, and we have found out the examples of innovations are the introduction of the paperless cockpit, which helps to to fasten the time to fly better and faster um, compared to wasting time preparing with papers, documents, and stuff. Okay, the fourth one is that JetBlue has a strong market presence, which at the foundation of the JetBlue, it is being introduced as to serve the underserved markets and also people who live in the high urban areas, meaning those who live in the cities might not be able to afford the price of the airplane during that time. So JetBlue came into the market and introduced a low cost airline, which has gained a strong market. The fifth one is the strong team background. So JetBlue has been constantly upgrade its trainings to ensure its competence to be in the market to be compete with other airlines. So that is also the strength internal. And last one is it has a strong branding a strong team branding, which as much as 30 million US dollar being allocated for the branding budget of JetBlue, and they also have a very strong social media influence. So these are the strengths of JetBlue. Let's move on to the third part, which is weaknesses. Um, the first weaknesses, as mentioned in the strategic issues, it is very similar with the weakness because it affects the company. So the poor and stable technology found in the system is, for example, when the JetBlue could not manage the delay or the reservation delay if, let's say, the JetBlue had a blackout, a sudden blackout in the system. So the customers could not make adjustment, could not book new tickets, airline, or even change dates. So that highlights the poor and unstable technology. And the accident of in one of the accident mentioned in the case study, it highlights the where that they could not have a good technology that could detect um, poor weather and also turbulence, typhoons prior to flying. So that shows a poor and unstable technology, which that accident actually brings to the second weakness, which is the absence of good enterprise risk management. So if we can see here, the timeline is still to 2016. However, we could not find um, the updated and relevant risk management practices in the case study. So, for example, what they could do in dealing with the high price of fuel is that they could use the alternative of fuel hedging. It is a risk technique which by 2016 it has already been in the market, but due to because we are only relying in the content of the case study, we could not find such relevant risk management techniques being embedded in how they manage the high cost fuel and other risks. And to add on, they do not have a good risk management. If, let's say, the blackout I've mentioned before, how would they deal with it, and how they manage the typhoon, the accidents, the aftermath of the accident, and etc. So that's the absence of a good risk enterprise risk management. The third one is that the trade-off between profit margin and customer, whereby they are low airline costs. So to maintain low cost to maintain the low cost airline with a very high level customer satisfaction, they have made changes at the end, like during the 2016 they have made changes which leads to customers discomfort, and this is not aligned with the company's vision. So the low cost strategy that they have adopted brings the customers not happy at all. So let's see the JetBlue external environmental issues. There are five here, which first the climate and weather change, the global market volatility, increase in fuel prices, competitive pricing environment, and economic slump. So these are the external issues. I'm not going to mention further elaborate, but we'll try to elaborate in the opportunities and threat. Okay. The fifth part is opportunities. So the first one is that we believe that JetBlue utilize, can maximize the opportunity in the deregulation implemented by the government. In the case study, it has mentioned that the airlines controls have shifted from government to private airlines. So it gives the power of the airlines to control the roads and their service much better. And JetBlue is able to control and to manage the service provided better. The second one is that JetBlue is able to explore in depth of their current unique approach to their business model. So throughout the years, throughout the timeline, we have noticed how the uh, JetBlue is able to grab opportunities from interline agreement to the code share agreement. These are the business term, business activities conducted in the airline business, and also they have moved on to the partnership too. So these are the strategies that they have adopted, and they have taken the opportunities to do so. The third one is to follow and implement advanced technology. So I think that one is the very latest one, which they have utilized the new satellite base by the Federal Aviation of the US government. So that's a really good approach good opportunity for them. And the last one is the presence of a variety complementary products. So JetBlue has taken the opportunity to collaborate with banks by having JetBlue credit cards and JetBlue Technology Ventures LLC to improve their technology operation in order to enhance the customers' process and satisfaction. So these are the four opportunities. And last is threats. So the first one that you have seen earlier in the external environment. So the threat is the climate and weather change. The second is the volatility in global markets and rising fuel prices. How JetBlue needs to manage its competitiveness, its resilience to the rising fuel prices, and also it JetBlue is exposed to the increase in competitive markets. As you can see, there are a few numbers of big players in the United States. And the last one is one of the biggest threat that JetBlue has faced before is during the economic slump late 1990s to early 21, where it has bring damage to the United States as a whole and also other countries, and the terrorist attacks which gives influence of the airplane flying experience. So those are the threats. So the recommendation that we would like to give is that the first is to have greater risk management techniques adopted. So this is the umbrella of all the mini actions that they need to take. So the first mini action is to adopt advanced technologies to solve technical problem which has affected the customer service and experience. As mentioned, they have booking issues when the system being blackout so suddenly, and that actually affect the entire process of the customer experience. And the second one is to adopt fuel hedging technique. This is a very a very crucial risk technique in order for them to mitigate and manage their way in handling the high fuel prices. And the last one is besides hedging, the JetBlue should adopt risk diversification technique to diversify their risk. For example, the first is how they diversify the high cost of fuel is by hedging, and perhaps the second risk diversification technique is perhaps to to ensure some of the insurance to maybe to collab with other insurance banks to help them to manage the aftermath of accidents maybe, and also to improve their risk profile, which is very crucial if they want to take loans at banks. So these three mini techniques are under this one big umbrella. Okay, so that's the end of Team 13 presentation on JetBlue case studies. So for more information, it is being elaborated more in the report. So I'll open this for Q&A. Thank you.